Please, follow me home. Something's wrong with my mom." The words tore through the summer heat like a gunshot. Four men in leather vests turned. A barefoot girl with tears streaming down her face grabbed the nearest one's arm, her tiny fingers digging into tattooed skin. Everyone else at that gas station froze, but the men the world feared didn't hesitate. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button and follow this story to the very end. Comment below what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this incredible story reaches. Now let's dive in. Jack Mercer's hand was still on the gas pump when he felt the grip. Small, desperate, shaking. He looked down, blonde hair tangled with sweat, bare feet covered in dirt, eyes red and wild with panic. "Sir, please." The girl's voice cracked and something in Jack's chest seized. He'd seen fear before. Hell, he'd caused it. But this was different. This was pure, unfiltered terror from someone who had nowhere else to turn. "Whoa, hey," Jack said, kneeling down fast. His leather vest creaked. "What's going on?" "My mom, she won't wake up. She fell and I don't know what to do and nobody will help me and—" The words tumbled out in a flood. Behind Jack, his brothers stopped what they were doing. Cole Ryder set down his coffee. Big Mike turned off his bike. Tommy Ghost Harrison pushed his sunglasses up. "Slow down, sweetheart," Jack said, keeping his voice steady even as his pulse kicked up. "Where's your mom?" "At home, please, you have to come. Please." The girl tugged his arm hard enough that Jack almost lost his balance. Around them, the gas station had gone silent. A woman by pump 3 grabbed her daughter's hand and pulled her back. A man in a polo shirt had his phone out, not to help but to record. Cole stepped forward, 6'3" of muscle and ink. "How far?" "2 blocks. Please, she's not moving." Jack looked at Cole, no words needed. They'd ridden together for 12 years. Saved each other's lives more times than either could count. And right now, both of them saw the same thing, a kid who'd run out of options and somehow decided that 4 bikers were safer than anyone else around. "Lead the way," Jack said. The girl's whole face changed. Hope flooded in where panic had been. She grabbed his hand, her palms sweaty and small, and started running. "Jack, you sure about this?" Big Mike called out. "Watch the bikes," Jack shot back. "We'll be right back." Cole fell into step beside them. Tommy stayed at the station, arms crossed, staring down anyone who looked like they might cause trouble. The woman at pump 3 was already on her phone, probably calling the cops. Fine. Let her. They ran. The girl Jack still didn't know her name moved fast for someone so small. Her feet slapped against hot pavement, and twice Jack almost told her to slow down to catch her breath, but the way her hand squeezed his told him everything he needed to know. Time was not a luxury they had. "What's your name?" Cole asked, his voice gentle in a way that always surprised people. "Emily." "Emily, I'm Cole. That's Jack. We're going to help your mom, okay?" "Okay." The word came out small and broken. They rounded a corner. Quiet suburban street, nice houses, trim lawns. The kind of neighborhood where people didn't expect trouble and definitely didn't expect bikers. A man watering his lawn looked up. His jaw dropped. The hose fell from his hand. "Emily," he called out. "Emily, what?" "My mom needs help," she screamed, not stopping. The man's face went white. He reached for his phone. Jack's jaw tightened. He knew what this looked like. Big, scary bikers chasing a little girl down a residential street. Half the neighborhood would be calling 911 in the next 30 seconds. They'd have maybe 2 minutes before squad cars showed up, guns drawn, questions asked later. There, Emily pointed at a small blue house with white shutters. The front door hung open. They burst through. Burst. The living room was neat, too neat, like someone tried really hard to keep everything perfect. A worn couch, family photos on the wall, crayons scattered on the coffee table next to a half-finished coloring book. "Mom?" Emily's scream came from the kitchen. Jack and Cole moved fast. The kitchen doorway framed a scene that made Jack's blood run cold. A woman mid-30s, blonde hair pulled back, lay crumpled on the tile floor. Her skin was pale, too pale. A pot of something sat abandoned on the stove, still warm. A knife lay on the counter next to half-cut vegetables. "Mom! Mom, please wake up!" Emily dropped to her knees, shaking her mother's shoulder. Cole was already moving. He dropped beside the woman, fingers going to her neck. Pulse? Jack asked. Weak, thready. Cole's hands moved with practiced precision, tilting her head back, checking her airway, looking at her eyes. Call 911 now. Jack had his phone out before Cole finished the sentence. What are we looking at? Not sure yet. Could be a dozen things. Cole's voice stayed calm, clinical. Ma'am, can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can hear me. Nothing, Emily sobbed. Is she gonna? She's breathing, Cole said firmly. Emily, look at me. Look right at me, sweetie. Your mom is breathing. That's good. That's really good. Jack spoke into the phone. I need an ambulance at Brezoa. He looked at Emily. What's the address? 4-4-2 Maple Street, Emily whispered. 442 Maple Street. Woman approximately 35 unconscious, weak pulse, non-responsive. The dispatcher's voice came through crisp and professional. Sir, what's your relationship to the patient? I'm a neighbor, Jack lied smoothly. Her daughter came and got me. Is the patient breathing? Yes, my friend here is a nurse. He's with her now. Cole was moving fast, checking the woman's pockets. He pulled out a medical alert bracelet from her wrists, held it up to the light. Diabetic, he said loud enough for Jack to hear. Jack's stomach dropped. Dispatcher, she's diabetic. Medical alert bracelet. Ambulance is 3 minutes out. Is she wearing an insulin pump? Cole lifted the woman's shirt, slightly checking. Negative, no pump. Any medication visible? Jack scanned the kitchen. Clean counters. Nothing out. He moved fast to the fridge, yanked it open. Insulin bottles lined the door shelf. He grabbed one, checked the label. Got insulin here. Humalog. Do not administer, the dispatcher said sharply. If it's low blood sugar, insulin will kill her. Check for glucose tablets, orange juice, anything with sugar. Cole was already ahead of her. Emily does. Your mom keep juice anywhere, soda. Anything sweet. Emily's tear-streaked face turned toward the fridge. Apple juice, top shelf. Jack grabbed it. Cole took it, unscrewed the cap with one hand while keeping the other on the woman's pulse. Ma'am, I need you to work with me. Cole's voice dropped low, authoritative. The voice of someone who'd done this 100 times. I'm going to tilt your head. You're going to swallow. Small sips. He tilted her head slightly, brought the juice to her lips. Nothing. Come on, Cole muttered. Come on, work with me here. A drop of juice touched her lips, then another. Seconds crawled by like hours. Emily grabbed Jack's hand. Her whole body shook. Jack squeezed back, wishing he had better words than the ones that came out. She's strong. She's fighting. What if she doesn't? She will. He said it with absolute conviction because that little girl needed to hear it, needed to believe it, even if Jack's own heart was hammering against his ribs like it wanted out. Cole kept working. Patience, precision, another few drops, then a swallow, small, almost invisible, but there. That's it, Cole breathed. That's my girl, one more, come on. Another swallow, stronger this time. Emily gasped. She moved, her hand moved. Jack looked. Sure enough, the woman's fingers twitched. Stay with us. Cole said, his voice taking on an edge of urgency now, like he could feel victory getting closer. Come on back. Your daughter needs you. More juice. The woman's eyelids fluttered. Then her eyes opened, confused, disoriented, but open. Mom! Emily lunged forward. Easy, easy, Cole said, keeping the girl from jostling her mother. Give her space. She's still real weak. The woman's eyes found Emily. Her lips moved. No sound came out at first, but the recognition was there. The love. Baby, she finally whispered. Emily burst into tears all over again, but these were different tears, relief. The kind that came from watching someone you loved come back from the edge. Jack exhaled hard, realizing he'd been holding his breath. That's when he heard it. Sirens. Multiple sirens. Getting closer. Fast. They're coming, Jack said. Cole nodded, still focused on his patient. Ma'am, I'm Cole. Ambulance is almost here. You had a hypoglycemic episode. When's the last time you ate? The woman blinked slowly, trying to focus. Lunch? Made Emily. Sandwich. Forgot. Mine. She always does that, Emily said, wiping her eyes. She always makes sure I eat first. Jack's chest tightened. Single mom. Diabetic. working herself to the bone to take care of her kid. Forgot to take care of herself. Story as old as time and twice as heartbreaking. The sirens screamed to a stop outside. Car doors slammed. Multiple sets of boots hit pavement. In here, Jack called out. Paramedics rushed in first, two of them professional and efficient. They took one look at the scene and got to work immediately setting down their gear. Patient is diabetic, hypoglycemic episode. Cole reported, shifting back to give them space but staying close. Alert and responsive now. Administered approximately 2 ounces of apple juice orally about 90 seconds ago. You a medic? One of the paramedics asked. Nurse, trauma 15 years. The paramedic nodded, respect flickering across his face. Good call on the juice. Then the cops came in, 3 of them, hands on their belts, eyes hard and suspicious. The lead officer, older guy, gray at the temple's wedding ring, catching the light, looked at Jack and Cole, then at Emily, then back at the men. Somebody want to tell me what's going on here? Jack stood up slowly, hands visible, movements calm. He'd been through this dance before. Little girl came to the gas station, said her mom was in trouble. We followed her here, found her mom unconscious on the floor. My friend here stabilized her until the ambulance arrived. Uh-huh. The cop's eyes narrowed. And you are Jack Mercer. Cole Ryder. You live in this neighborhood? No, sir. Know this family? Never met them before today. The cop's hand stayed near his gun. Right. So 2 bikers just happened to follow a little girl home out of the goodness of their hearts. The words hung in the air like an accusation. Jack felt his jaw tighten, felt that old familiar anger starting to rise. But he swallowed it down because getting pissed off right now wouldn't help anyone, least of all Emily. That's exactly what happened, Jack said, voice level. Officer. Everyone turned. One of the paramedics had looked up from checking the woman's blood sugar. These men saved this woman's life. Another 5 minutes and we would have been looking at a very different situation. The cop didn't look convinced. I'll still need statements from everyone. Ma'am, he turned to the woman on the floor. Are you able to tell me what happened? She nodded weakly. The paramedics were already prepping an IV, getting her ready for transport. I was making dinner, started feeling dizzy. Next thing I remember, waking up with this man giving me juice. She looked at Cole. Thank you. I don't know how to... No thanks needed, Cole said quietly. Emily grabbed her mother's hand. Mom, I was so scared. You wouldn't wake up, and I ran outside, and I saw them at the gas station, and I knew they could help. The woman's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Jack, at Cole. 2 men covered in tattoos and leather kneeling on her kitchen floor who dropped everything to save a stranger's life because a scared little girl asked them to. I don't know how to repay you, she whispered. You just did, Jack said. You woke up. The cop's expression shifted slightly. Not convinced, but maybe less hostile. I still need to verify everything. Get contact information. Talk to witnesses. Officer Daniels. Another cop stuck his head in the door, younger guy out of breath. Got multiple calls from neighbors. They all say the same thing. Little girl was running down the street, screaming for help. These 2 followed her here. Nobody saw anything suspicious. Officer Daniels absorbed that, looked at Jack and Cole again. His hand moved away from his gun. All right, I'll still need your information for the report. Whatever you need, Jack said. The paramedics lifted the woman onto a stretcher. Emily started to follow, but one of them gently stopped her. Sweetie, we need to take your mom to the hospital to make sure she's okay. Is there anyone we can call for you? Emily's face crumpled. My dad's not around anymore. The words hit hard. Single mom, no backup, no safety net. What about grandparents? The paramedic asked. And uncle. Grandma lives in Florida. I don't have anyone's number. Jack and Cole exchanged a look. They both knew what happened next in situations like this. Child services would get called. Emily would be placed somewhere while they tracked down relatives. And this little girl who just watched her mom almost die would be thrown into a system that, no matter how well-intentioned, was about to traumatize her all over again. I'll stay with her. Everyone turned to look at Jack. He met Officer Daniels' stare head on. Until you find a relative, I'll stay. Make sure she's okay. That's not, Daniel started. She knows me now, trusts me. You want to put her through more trauma today? Jack kept his voice calm, reasonable. I'll stay right here. Your officers can stay too if you want, but I'm not leaving this kid alone. Daniels looked like he wanted to argue. Looked like he wanted to find a regulation that said big, scary bikers couldn't watch 7-year-old girls. But he also looked at Emily, small, scared, clinging to her mother's hand, like it was the only solid thing in a world that had just tilted sideways. "Mom, I want to go with you," Emily said. The woman on the stretcher squeezed her daughter's hand. "Baby, they need to run tests. It's going to be boring, and you'll just be sitting in a waiting room. These men," she looked at Jack and Cole, "they'll take care of you, won't they?" "Yes, ma'am," Cole said, "we will." "Mom, Emily," the woman's voice got stronger, "these men saved my life. I trust them. You trust them too, right?" Emily looked at Jack, at Cole, at the two men who'd come when nobody else would. "Yeah," she said quietly, "I trust them." "Then it's settled," the woman said. Then to the paramedics, "Please, let's go. I want to get this over with and get back to my daughter." They wheeled her out. Emily watched until her mother disappeared around the corner. Then she stood there small and lost in the middle of her kitchen, looking like she might shatter if someone breathed wrong. Jack knelt down again. "Hey, your mom's going to be fine. You know how I know." Emily shook her head. "Because she's got you. And anyone tough enough to raise a kid who runs toward bikers when she needs help, that's someone who doesn't quit." A tiny smile flickered across Emily's face. Lasted maybe half a second, but it was there. Officer Daniels cleared his throat. "I need to make some calls. Figure out next of kin. You two," he pointed at Jack and Cole. "Don't leave this house. Don't even think about it." "Wouldn't dream of it," Jack said. The cops stepped outside to make their calls. The house got quiet. Just Jack, Cole, and one little girl who'd had the worst day of her young life. "You hungry?" Cole asked. Emily shrugged. "When's the last time you ate lunch?" Cole looked at the abandoned pot on the stove, the half-cut vegetables. "Your mom was making dinner," Emily nodded. "Mac and cheese, my favorite." "Then let's finish it," Cole said. "Your mom would want you to eat." He moved to the stove, surprisingly comfortable in the kitchen. Jack sat down at the small table, pulling out a chair for Emily. She climbed into it, her bare feet not quite touching the floor. "Where are your shoes?" Jack asked. "I don't know, I just ran. I didn't think about shoes." "Smart kid. Shoes slow you down anyway." That got another almost smile. Jack's phone buzzed. "Text from Big Mike cops, let us go. Bikes are secure, you good?" "Yeah, staying with the kid for now. Need backup." Jack looked at Emily, at the way she was watching Cole cook, like she couldn't quite believe this was real. "Nah, we're good." Cole found the cheese, the milk, the pasta, moved through the kitchen like he'd been there 100 times. Within minutes, the smell of cooking filled the house, warm, comforting, normal. "You really a nurse?" Emily asked suddenly. Cole looked over his shoulder. 20 years. Army first, then civilian hospitals." "But you're a biker." "Can't be both." Emily thought about that. "I guess you can. People see the vest and the tattoos, and they make assumptions," Cole said, stirring the pot. "Doesn't mean they're right. Everyone at the gas station looked scared of you." "Yeah, they did. But you're not scary." Cole smiled, a real smile, the kind that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "You're not scared." "No, you helped my mom. Scary people don't do that. Sometimes the scariest looking people are the ones who'll help you when nobody else will," Jack said quietly. "You remember that?" Emily nodded, solemn as a judge. The mac and cheese finished. Cole plated it up, set it in front of Emily. She stared at it for a long moment. "What's wrong?" Jack asked. "Mom always says grace first." Jack and Cole exchanged a look. Then Jack bowed his head. "Go ahead." "Oh," Emily's small voice filled the kitchen. "God bless this food and please make my mom all better. Thank you for sending help when I needed it. Amen." "Amen," Jack and Cole said together. Emily ate, slowly at first, then faster, like she was realizing how hungry she actually was. Cole made himself and Jack plates too. They ate in comfortable silence, three unlikely companions at a kitchen table while cops talked outside and sirens faded in the distance. Officer Daniels came back in. "Got hold of the grandmother. She's catching the next flight out. Won't be here until tomorrow morning." "So what happens tonight?" Jack asked. "Child Services is sending someone. Should be here in an hour." Emily's fork clattered against her plate. "No, I want to stay here, in my house." "Sweetie, you can't stay alone." "I'll stay with her." Everyone looked at Cole. "I'm a nurse. I've got clearances, background checks, the whole 9 yards. Call my supervisor if you want. I'll stay here overnight, make sure she's safe, hand her off to Grandma tomorrow. Daniels looked skeptical. You really think I'm going to let a biker I just met stay overnight with a minor? Better than terrifying her with strangers, Cole shot back. Look at her! They all looked. Emily had gone pale, her hands shaking. Please, she whispered, don't make me leave. Daniels rubbed his face. This is highly irregular. So was today, Jack said. Call his references. Hell, put a cop on the porch all night if it makes you feel better. But don't punish this kid for doing the right thing. The standoff lasted maybe 10 seconds. Then Daniels pulled out his phone. What's your supervisor's number? Cole rattled it off without hesitation. 20 minutes later, after 3 phone calls and what was probably the weirdest conversation of Daniels' career, it was settled. Cole would stay, Jack would go, a patrol car would drive by every hour. You sure about this? Jack asked Cole quietly. Yeah, someone's got to look out for her. Jack gripped his brother's shoulder. Then he looked at Emily. You're going to be okay, kiddo. Cole's good people. Will you come back? Emily asked. Tomorrow. Something in Jack's chest twisted. You want me to? Yeah, I want to say thank you to your friends too. The ones who stayed with the bikes. Jack smiled. Then I'll come back. He walked out into the cooling evening. The neighborhood was still buzzing, people on porches watching, whispering. He didn't care. Let them talk. Big Mike was waiting at the gas station right where they'd left him. How's the kid? He asked as Jack climbed on his bike. Scared, brave, gonna be all right. And Cole, staying overnight, making sure she's okay. Mike shook his head, grinning. We're gonna hear about this one for years. Probably, They rode out as the sun started to set, leaving behind a quiet suburban street that would never quite see them the same way again. And Jack thought about a little girl with bare feet and tears on her face who'd looked at 4 men the world feared and saw heroes instead. Sometimes he thought kids were smarter than everyone gave them credit for. Tomorrow would bring new complications, questions, maybe gratitude, maybe suspicion. But tonight, Jack rode with the knowledge that when it mattered, when a child's voice cried out for help, he and his brothers hadn't hesitated. And that was enough. The house settled into an uneasy quiet after Jack's motorcycle rumbled away. Cole stood at the kitchen sink washing dishes that didn't need washing, giving Emily space to process everything that had crashed down on her in the last few hours. She sat at the table, pushing mac and cheese around her plate, not eating anymore, just moving food in circles. You can talk about it, Cole said without turning around. Or not, whatever you need. Silence stretched. Then, is my mom gonna die? Cole's hands stilled in the soapy water. He dried them slowly, turned around, pulled out the chair across from Emily and sat down heavy. No, he said, she's not. How do you know? Because I've seen people who are dying and your mom isn't one of them. She had a close call, real close, but she's getting the care she needs now. Emily's bottom lip trembled. What if it happens again? Then we make sure it doesn't. Cole leaned forward, elbows on the table. Your mom's diabetic. That means her body doesn't handle sugar right. She has to eat regular, take her medicine. Pay attention to how she feels. Today she didn't eat lunch, got too busy taking care of you, and her blood sugar crashed. But now she knows. You know, won't happen the same way twice. She always forgets to eat, Emily whispered. Always makes sure I'm okay first. That's what moms do. But here's the thing, she can't take care of you if she doesn't take care of herself first. Like on airplanes. You know how they say put your oxygen mask on before helping others? Emily nodded. Same idea. Your mom's going to have to learn that. And you're going to help remind her. A tear rolled down Emily's cheek. I got so scared. When she fell, she made this noise, and then she just stopped. I shook her, and she wouldn't wake up, and I didn't know what to do. But you did know, Cole said firmly. You ran for help. That took more courage than most adults have. Everyone else looked at me like I was crazy, like I was lying or something. People get scared when kids come running up crying. They don't know what to do with that. Easier to look away than get involved. But you didn't. No, we didn't. Emily wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Why? The question hung there, simple and devastating. Cole took a breath. You want the real answer? Yeah. Because we know what it's like when nobody comes. When you need help and everyone turns away. And we promised ourselves a long time ago that we'd never be those people. Emily studied his face, the scars, the tattoos, the lines that came from seeing too much. Were you in a war? 3 of them. Did people get hurt? Yeah, a lot of people. Did you save them? I tried. Didn't always work. Cole's voice went rough. But I tried every single time. Emily reached across the table, her small hand landing on his scarred knuckles. Thank you for saving my mom. Cole had to swallow hard before he could answer. You're welcome, kiddo. The moment broke when headlights swept across the front window. Emily tensed. It's okay, Cole said, standing. Probably just the patrol car checking in. But it wasn't. A silver sedan pulled into the driveway. A woman got out, 50-something, official looking, carrying a briefcase, and wearing an expression that said she'd rather be anywhere else. Cole opened the door before she could knock. Mr. Ryder, she asked, checking a tablet. That's me. I'm Sandra Mitchell, Child Protective Services. I need to do a wellness check. Officer Daniel said you weren't coming. Plans changed. May I come in? Cole stepped aside. Emily shrank back in her chair, eyes wide. Sandra's gaze swept the kitchen, the clean dishes, the leftover mac and cheese. Emily in her chair, looking small and scared. Hello, Emily. I'm Sandra. I'm here to make sure you're safe and comfortable. How are you feeling? Fine, Emily said, voice barely audible. Has Mr. Ryder been treating you well? Yes. Has he touched you inappropriately or made you uncomfortable in any way? Cole's jaw clenched. Emily's eyes went huge. No, he made me dinner and washed the dishes, and he's nice. Sandra made a note on her tablet. I'm required to ask these questions, sweetheart. Nothing personal. She looked at Cole. I need to see identification and verify your nursing credentials. Cole pulled out his wallet, handed over his license and nursing certification card. Sandra photographed both, typed something into her tablet. You're staying overnight. That's the plan. Grandmother arrives tomorrow morning. And you've been authorized by the responding officer. Called my supervisor. Everything checked out. Sandra's expression didn't change. I still need to file my own report. Emily, can you show me your room? Emily looked at Cole. He nodded. It's okay, show her. They disappeared upstairs. Cole heard footsteps above drawers opening, Sandra's voice, asking questions he couldn't quite make out. His phone buzzed. Text from Jack. How's it going? CPS showed up. Shit, you good? Yeah, just doing their job. Want me to come back? Cole almost said yes. Almost. But having another biker show up right now would probably make things worse, not better. Nah, I got this. Footsteps on the stairs. Sandra came down first, Emily trailing behind, looking miserable. Everything appears to be in order. Sandra said, her tone suggesting she wasn't entirely happy about that conclusion. Emily, if you need anything at all, you call this number. She handed over a business card. Day or night, understand. Emily took the card. Okay. Mr. Ryder, I'll be filing a full report. If there are any concerns, you'll be hearing from us. Looking forward to it, Cole said, not bothering to hide the sarcasm. Sandra left. The house felt lighter immediately. Emily slumped into the couch. I hate this. I hate all of it. I know. Everyone's looking at me like I'm broken or something, like I need to be saved. You're not broken. You're just a kid dealing with something really hard. I want my mom. I know you do. Tomorrow. Just gotta get through tonight. Emily's eyes filled with tears again. What if something happens to her at the hospital? What if... Hey! Cole sat down next to her. Your mom is in the best place she can be right now. Doctors, nurses, equipment, medicine. They're watching her like a hawk. Nothing's gonna happen. Promise. Cole never promised things he couldn't control. Never. But looking at this kid who'd had her world turned upside down, who just needed something solid to hold on to, I promise. Emily leaned against his side. Cole sat very still, not quite sure what to do with a 7-year-old using him as a pillow. But he didn't move, didn't pull away. Just let her be. They sat like that until Emily's breathing evened out and her weight went heavy against him. Asleep. Cole carefully shifted her into a better position, then just sat there in the quiet house, this kid he'd met hours ago, trusting him completely, and wondered how the hell this had become his Tuesday. Outside, a car drove by slow. Too slow. Cole caught a glimpse of someone with a phone pointed at the house. Great. Just great. He pulled out his own phone, texted Jack. People are taking pictures of the house. Seriously. Yeah. Neighborhood watch in full effect. Want me to come sit on the porch? Bet that'd give them something to photograph. Despite everything, Cole smiled. Tempting. But nah, let them look. He carried Emily upstairs, tucked her into bed, still fully clothed, because waking her up to change seemed cruel. Found a spare blanket in the closet, made himself a spot on the floor next to her bed. Old habits. Never sleep too comfortable. Always be ready to move. His phone lit up one more time. Text from an unknown number. This is Sarah Carter, Emily's mom. Officer gave me your number. I can't thank you enough. Please take care of my baby. Cole stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back. She's safe. I've got her. Focus on getting better. She trusts you. That's everything. She's brave. Braver than she knows. She gets that from her dad. Cole didn't know what to say to that. Settled for get some rest. We'll see you tomorrow. The phone went dark. The house went quiet. And Cole lay on the floor of a stranger's house, guarding a little girl who'd decided he was worth trusting, and thought about all the times he'd felt like the world had given up on people like him. Maybe, just maybe, he'd been wrong. Morning came too early. Cole woke to sunlight and the smell of something burning. He bolted upright. Emily's bed was empty. He took the stairs 3 at a time, hit the kitchen, expecting the worst. Emily stood on a chair at the stove, spatula in hand, attempting to flip what might have once been pancakes. The pan smoked. The batter was black on one side, raw on the other. I wanted to make you breakfast, she said, looking up with such hopeful pride that Cole couldn't bring himself to point out the disaster in progress. That's real thoughtful, he said, moving to turn down the heat. But how about we team up? I'll handle the stove, you handle the mixing. Okay. They salvaged the attempt, sort of. The pancakes came out lopsided and slightly crispy, but edible. Emily drowned hers in syrup and declared them the best pancakes ever. Cole's phone rang. Unknown number again. This is Cole. Mr. Ryder, this is Margaret Chen, Sarah's mother. My flight lands in 40 minutes. Is Emily? She's fine, right here. Want to talk to her? He handed the phone to Emily. Her whole face lit up. Grandma, when are you getting here? Okay. Yes, I'm okay. Cole made me pancakes. Well, I helped. Okay. Love you too. She handed the phone back. Mr. Ryder, Margaret said, her voice thick with emotion. I don't know how to. Don't. Just get here safe. Emily needs you. I'll be there in an hour. They cleaned up breakfast. Emily showed Cole her room properly this time. Stuffed animals lined up by size drawings taped to the wall, a shelf full of books she'd read, and one she was working through. You like to read? Cole asked. Yeah, Mom says it's important. She's right. Do you read when I can? Mostly history, military stuff. That sounds boring. Cole laughed. Yeah, it kind of is. A knock at the door interrupted. Cole checked the peephole. Jack stood on the porch. Big Mike and Tommy flanked him. Cole opened up. Didn't expect all of you. Figured the kid might want to say thanks, Jack said. Then quieter, and figured you might need backup with the grandmother. Emily, Cole called. You got visitors. She came running, saw the 3 men, and her face split into a huge grin. You came back. Said I would, Jack said, kneeling down. How you doing? Better. Cole stayed all night. We made pancakes. Did he make you do all the work? Big Mike asked, grinning. No, we did it together. Tommy handed her something, a stuffed bear carrying a tiny leather vest. Thought you might want this. He's tough. Keeps the bad dreams away. Emily clutched the bear to her chest. Thank you. That's when the neighbor from yesterday appeared, the man with the hose. He'd brought friends. 3 other men all standing on the sidewalk, arms crossed, expressions hard. We need to talk, the neighbor called out. Jack stood up. About you people hanging around here. This is a family neighborhood. Funny, Stikta, Jack said, voice dangerously calm. We're here for family. Emily's family. You're scaring people, making everyone uncomfortable. That's their problem, not ours. The neighbor's face reddened. Look, I don't know what you think you're doing. Saving a woman's life, Cole said from the doorway. That's what we're doing. What were you doing? That's not. You were watering your lawn, Cole continued, voice flat, while a kid was screaming for help. But we're the problem. The neighbor had no answer for that. Big Mike stepped forward, 6'5", 300 pounds of muscle and attitude. Listen real careful. We're here because a little girl asked us to be. Her mom asked us to be. Her grandmother is on the way. You got a problem with that, take it up with them. But leave us out of your pearl clutching. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, Jack said. They already know we're here. Got their blessing and everything. The neighbors retreated muttering, but their phones were out. Recording. Always recording. This is gonna get messy, Tommy muttered. Already is, Jack replied. A taxi pulled up. An older woman got out, gray hair, kind eyes, moving fast despite her age. She paid the driver, grabbed her bag, and practically ran toward the house. Emily. Grandma. They collided in the middle of the yard. Margaret Chen held her granddaughter like she'd never let go, both of them, crying both of them whole. Cole and Jack stood back, giving them space. Mrs. Chen, Cole said when they finally separated. I'm Cole, this is Jack, Mike, and Tommy. Margaret looked at them, really looked. Then she did something none of them expected. She hugged Cole, fierce and tight and trembling. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for keeping her safe. Cole's arms came up awkwardly, patting her back. She made it easy. Margaret pulled back, wiped her eyes, then hugged Jack. Then Mike, then Tommy, each of them standing there looking uncomfortable and touched and not quite sure what to do with genuine gratitude. Come inside, Margaret said. Please, I want to hear everything. They sat around the same table where Emily had eaten mac and cheese the night before. Margaret made coffee with shaking hands, and Emily told the story, running to the gas station, grabbing Jack's arm, leading them home, watching Cole save her mom. She wouldn't wake up, Grandma, Emily said, voice small. I shook her, and she just wouldn't wake up. Margaret's hand covered her mouth. Oh, sweetheart. But Cole knew what to do. He gave her juice and talked to her, and she came back. Margaret looked at Cole. You're a nurse. Yes, ma'am. And you just help, no questions? A kid asked for help. What else was I gonna do? Most people would have kept walking. Yeah, well, Cole shrugged. We're not most people. Margaret's phone rang. She checked it, answered fast. Sarah, oh, thank God, yes, she's right here, safe. I'm with her now. She listened, nodded. They're all here, the men who helped. Do you? Yes. Yes, I'll tell them. She hung up, looked at the 4 bikers sitting in her daughter's kitchen. Sarah's being discharged. She'll be home in 2 hours. She wants you here. Wants to thank you herself. We should probably go, Jack said, starting to stand. No. Margaret's voice was firm. You stay. She needs to see you. Needs Emily to see that the people who helped are being honored, not feared. Ma'am, the neighbors can mind their own business, Margaret finished. You're staying. Jack looked at his brothers. They all nodded. Yes, ma'am, Jack said. The next 2 hours crawled by. Margaret made them lunch, actual food, not just leftovers. Emily showed them her drawings. Her books told them about school and her friends and how she wanted to be a doctor when she grew up. Why a doctor? Tommy asked. So I can help people like Cole helped my mom. Cole had to look away. More cars arrived outside, more neighbors gathering. Some looked curious, others looked hostile. Phones everywhere pointed at the house like weapons. This is going to be all over social media by tonight, Big Mike said, watching through the window. Let it, Jack said. We didn't do anything wrong. Doesn't matter. People see what they want to see. A police car pulled up. Officer Daniels got out looking tired. He knocked. Margaret answered. Mrs. Chen, just checking in, making sure everything's... He stopped, seeing the 4 bikers still there. You're all still here. At Mrs. Chen's request, Jack said. Daniels looked at Margaret. She nodded. They're my guests, officer. Is there a problem? No, ma'am, just doing my rounds. Got a lot of calls from concerned neighbors. Concerned about what? The men who saved my daughter's life. Daniels had the grace to look uncomfortable. People are nervous, not used to seeing bikers, Jack supplied. Tattoos, leather? Yeah, we get it. I'm just trying to keep the peace. Then tell them the truth, Margaret said firmly. These men are heroes. Anyone who says different can answer to me. Daniels absorbed that, nodded slowly. Fair enough, ma'am. Your daughter's ambulance is about 5 minutes out. Thought you'd want to know. Margaret's face transformed. Thank you, officer. She rushed to get things ready, clearing space, fluffing pillows, making sure everything was perfect for Sarah's homecoming. Emily grabbed Cole's hand. She's really coming home. Really? What if she's still sick? Then we'll deal with it, but she's going to be okay, I promise. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics helped Sarah out, pale but steady, moving, slow but moving. She saw her mother first, her daughter second, and the tears started before she even made it to the door. Margaret and Emily surrounded her, 3 generations holding each other, crying whole. Then Sarah looked up, saw the 4 men standing in her living room. She pulled away from her family, walked straight to Cole, and before he could say anything, before he could step back or deflect or do any of the things he normally did, she hugged him. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for giving me back my life." Cole's arms came up. "You did the hard part. You fought. Because you gave me something to fight for." She pulled back, looked at Jack, Mike, and Tommy. "All of you, I don't know how to repay you." "Don't need repayment," Jack said. "Just seeing you on your feet is enough." Sarah's eyes filled with fresh tears. The doctor said another 5 minutes and her voice broke. "If Emily hadn't found you, if you hadn't come—" "But we did," Cole said firmly, "and you're here, that's what matters." Outside, the crowd had grown, maybe 30 people now. Some were filming, others were arguing. A woman held a sign that said, "Protect our children." Sarah saw it through the window. Her expression changed, softened confusion, giving way to hard anger. "What is that?" she asked. "Just some concerned neighbors," Daniel said carefully. "Concerned about what?" No one answered. Sarah walked to the door, yanked it open, stepped onto the porch. Her legs shook, but her voice carried clear and strong. "You want to protect children, these men?" She pointed back at Cole and his brothers. "Saved my life so my daughter wouldn't be an orphan. Where were all of you yesterday when she needed help? Where were you when she was running down the street crying?" The crowd went silent. "That's what I thought," Sarah continued. "You were watching, recording, calling the police, but not helping. These men helped. They didn't know me, didn't know Emily, but they came anyway. So if you have a problem with them being here, you have a problem with me." Someone in the crowd yelled, "They're dangerous." "Dangerous?" Sarah's laugh was bitter. "You know what's dangerous? Judging people by what they look like instead of what they do. You know what's dangerous? Teaching our kids that different equals bad. These men are better humans than half the people standing in this street." Another voice. "How do you know they didn't have ulterior motives?" Margaret stepped up beside her daughter. "Because I've spent the last 2 hours with them. They stayed all night to protect my granddaughter. They made her breakfast. They made her feel safe when her world was falling apart." "What more do you need?" Officer Daniel stepped forward. "Folks, I think it's time to disperse. The family needs privacy." The crowd didn't move. Then Emily pushed past her mother and grandmother, small, barefoot, fearless. "They're my friends," she said loud enough to carry, "and you're being mean." That broke something. The crowd started to fracture. Some people left shamefaced. Others lingered still, hostile, still filming. But Emily didn't care. She went back inside, grabbed Cole's hand, pulled him out onto the porch. "This is Cole," she announced. "He's a nurse, and he saved my mom, and he's the bravest person I know." Cole looked down at this kid who decided he was worth defending, and something in his chest cracked wide open. Jack, Mike, and Tommy joined them on the porch. 5 people who shouldn't fit together, 3 generations of women and 4 bikers standing united while the neighborhood watched. And slowly something shifted. Maybe it was Sarah's words. Maybe it was Emily's fierce loyalty. Maybe it was just the undeniable truth staring everyone in the face. The hostility started to drain away. A woman approached, mid-40s, kind face. "I'm Karen Miller. I live 3 houses down. I just want to say thank you. We all should have helped yesterday. I'm sorry we didn't." "I'm sorry too," another voice called out. Then another, and another. Not everyone. Some people left still angry, still convinced they knew better. But enough voices rose up that the tide turned. Jack felt his throat tighten. This wasn't what he'd expected. Not even close. Sarah swayed. Margaret caught her. "Inside," Cole said firmly. "You need to rest." They helped Sarah back to the couch. The neighbors dispersed. Peace fragile and news settled over the street. Officer Daniels paused at the door. "For what it's worth, I misjudged you. I'm sorry." "We're used to it," Jack said. "You shouldn't have to be." After he left, the house went quiet again. Sarah fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted from her ordeal. Margaret covered her with a blanket. Emily curled up next to her mom, thumb in her mouth, despite being too old for that, just needing to be close. The 4 bikers stood in the kitchen, suddenly awkward. "We should go." Jack said quietly. Margaret appeared in the doorway. Stay, please, I'm making dinner. Real dinner. It's the least I can do. Ma'am, you don't have to. I want to. Her eyes were fierce. Please, let me do this. So they stayed. Margaret cooked while they cleaned up the kitchen from breakfast, from lunch, from the chaos. They moved around each other comfortable, now the strangeness worn away by everything they had been through. Emily woke up, came to help. She chattered about school, about her favorite books, about wanting to learn to ride a motorcycle someday. When you're older, Jack said. Much older. Like 16, like 30. That's forever. Sarah woke for dinner. They crowded around the table, 7 people who'd been strangers 48 hours ago, now feeling like something closer to family. To unlikely heroes, Margaret said, raising her glass. To brave kids, Cole countered, looking at Emily. They ate. They talked. And for a few hours, the world outside didn't matter. But it would. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The story was spreading social media, local news, already spiraling into something bigger than any of them anticipated. But tonight in this small kitchen, with food and laughter and gratitude thick enough to taste, tonight was enough. Jack's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. He pulled it out, saw the notifications stacking up faster than he could read them. Missed calls, text messages, voicemails, all from numbers he didn't recognize. What's wrong? Cole asked, noticing Jack's expression shift. Jack showed him the screen. Cole's eyebrows went up. How many? 67 in the last 10 minutes. Big Mike checked his own phone. I got the same thing. What the hell? Tommy was already scrolling through his messages. His face went pale. Guys, we're viral. What? Sarah asked from the couch. Tommy turned his phone around. A video played shaky footage from yesterday, Emily running toward them at the gas station grabbing Jack's arm. The caption read, "Little girl begs bikers for help. What happens next will shock you." 3 million views, Tommy said quietly. Posted 6 hours ago. Margaret came over, looked at the screen. Oh my. There's more, Tommy continued scrolling. Different angles. Someone got footage of us following Emily down the street. Another one of you carrying Sarah out to the ambulance. Wait, we didn't carry her out. That's from today, Cole said, looking closer, when she came home. And this one, Tommy's voice got tight. This one's from Sarah's speech on the porch. It's everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Everyone's talking about it. Sarah struggled to sit up. What are they saying? Tommy hesitated. Tell me, Sarah pressed. It's mixed. Some people are calling you heroes. Others are saying he stopped. Saying what? Jack demanded. That it's staged, that we're using Emily for publicity, that there's gotta be an angle. Tommy's jaw clenched. One asshole is claiming we're grooming her. The word hit like a slap. Emily looked up from her spot next to her mom. What's grooming? Nothing you need to worry about, sweetheart, Margaret said quickly, but her voice shook. Sarah's face had gone white. They're saying that about the men who saved my life. Internet's gonna internet, Big Mike said, trying to sound casual. Anonymous cowards with keyboards. Ignore them. But Jack couldn't ignore the sick feeling spreading through his gut. He knew how this worked. Once the accusation was out there, it stuck. Didn't matter what the truth was. His phone rang again. This time he recognized the number. I gotta take this, he said, stepping into the hallway. Jack, it's Marcus. Marcus Shaw, president of their chapter. You seeing what I'm seeing? Yeah. We got reporters calling the clubhouse. National news wants interviews. And we got some brothers who aren't happy about the attention. Jack's hand tightened on the phone. Which brothers? Razor? Snake? A few others? They're saying you made us look soft, made us look like we're trying to change our image or some shit. I saved a woman's life, Marcus. Emily asked for help. What was I supposed to do? I know that I'm on your side, but there's talk. And with the club already under heat from that thing in Nevada, this kind of spotlight isn't helping. The thing in Nevada, a weapons charge that got 3 of their brothers locked up. Federal prosecutors already sniffing around looking for RICO violations, trying to make their club into something it wasn't. So what are you saying? Jack asked. I'm saying be careful. Watch what you say to reporters. Don't give them anything they can twist. I wasn't planning to talk to reporters at all. Good. Keep it that way. Marcus paused. Jack, you did the right thing. You know that, right? Yeah. But right don't always play well on camera. Just watch your back. The call ended. Jack stood there in the hallway listening to the sounds of dinner conversation drifting from the kitchen, feeling the weight of something bigger than himself pressing down. When he came back in, everyone was gathered around Tommy's phone watching a news segment. Controversy surrounding the so-called biker heroes after video emerged showing members of the Hells Angels, a known outlaw motorcycle gang, interacting with a 7-year-old girl. "Turn it off," Jack said. "Wait," Sarah said. "I want to hear this." While the family maintains the men saved the mother's life, critics are questioning whether it's appropriate for members of a criminal organization to have unsupervised access to a minor. Sarah grabbed the phone, shut it off with shaking hands. "Criminal organization. They saved my life." "Mom, what's a criminal organization?" Emily asked. The room went silent. "It means nothing," Margaret said firmly. "It means people who don't know the truth making up stories." Emily looked at Jack. "Are you criminals?" Jack knelt down, met her eyes straight on. "No, we're not." "Then why are they saying you are?" "Because people are scared of things they don't understand. And instead of trying to understand, sometimes they just make up stories that fit what they already believe." "That's not fair." "No, it's not." Emily's small hand found his. "I'll tell them. I'll tell everyone you're good." Jack's throat went tight. "You don't have to do that, kiddo." "But I want to. You helped us. Now I want to help you." Sarah pulled her daughter close. "Emily, baby, it's more complicated than that." "Why?" "Because adults make everything complicated," Cole said, his voice rough. "Look, this is getting out of hand. Maybe we should—" A knock at the door cut him off. Sharp official. Officer Daniels stood on the porch again, but this time he wasn't alone. A woman in a suit flanked him, federal agent written all over her. "Mr. Mercer," Daniels said, "this is Special Agent Rebecca Foster, FBI. She'd like to ask you some questions." Jack's blood went cold. "About what?" "About your association with the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club and recent interactions with a minor." Sarah was on her feet instantly, Margaret right behind her. "Excuse me. Ma'am, this doesn't concern you." "The hell it doesn't. These men saved my life." Agent Foster's expression didn't change. "Mrs. Carter, I understand you're grateful, but there are protocols when it comes to certain organizations and their proximity to children." "Protocols," Margaret's voice rose. "My granddaughter was in danger. These men helped. That's not proximity, that's humanity. Nevertheless, I need to speak with Mr. Mercer and his associates. You can do this here or at the field office. Your choice, Mario." Jack looked at Cole, at Big Mike, at Tommy. They all wore the same expression. "Here we go again." "We'll do it here," Jack said, "but our lawyer's gonna be on speaker." "That's your right." They moved to the living room. Sarah tried to follow, but Foster stopped her. "Family only for this conversation." "They are family," Emily said fiercely. Foster looked down at the little girl. "Sweetheart, these men are part of an organization under federal investigation. You don't understand." "I understand. They saved my mom when nobody else would." "Emily," Sarah said, gently pulling her back. "Let them talk. It's okay." But it wasn't okay. Jack could see it in Emily's face, the confusion, the hurt, the sense that something precious was being taken away. They sat. Foster pulled out a tablet, started recording. "For the record, this is a voluntary interview with Jack Mercer, Cole Ryder, Michael Chen, and Thomas Harrison, conducted on—" "We know the date," Big Mike interrupted. "Get to the questions." Foster's eyes narrowed. "Mr. Mercer, how long have you been a member of the Hells Angels?" 12 years. "And you're aware the organization is under federal investigation for racketeering." "I'm aware the feds have been trying to make that stick for 30 years and failing." "In the past 72 hours, you've had multiple interactions with a 7-year-old girl. Can you explain the nature of those interactions?" Jack's lawyer's voice came through the speakerphone. "My client doesn't have to explain basic human decency." "Mr. Steinberg," Foster said coolly, "your client's organization has a history of violence, drug trafficking, and organized crime. When members of that organization suddenly take an interest in a child—" "Take an interest." Cole's voice went deadly quiet. "Her mother was dying on the kitchen floor. What the hell were we supposed to do? You could have called 911 and left." "We did call 911 and we stayed because a scared kid needed someone." "A scared kid who conveniently led you to her home, who trusted you immediately, who now considers you what was the word family? The implication hung in the air like poison. Tommy leaned forward. Say what you're really saying. Stop dancing around it. Foster met his gaze. Fine. I'm investigating whether this entire situation was orchestrated, whether you're using this child and her mother for positive publicity while your club is under federal scrutiny. The room exploded. Sarah's voice cut through first. Are you insane? My daughter found them by chance. I was unconscious. Convenient timing, Foster said. Convenient, I almost died. Or appeared to. We'll need your medical records to verify. Margaret stepped between Foster and her daughter. Get out! Get out of my daughter's house right now. Mrs. Chen, I'm conducting a federal investigation. I don't care if you're conducting a symphony. You're accusing these men of staging a medical emergency of using my granddaughter. Get out. Foster stood slowly. This isn't over. We'll be in touch. She left. Daniels lingered, looking uncomfortable. I didn't know she was coming, he said quietly. For what it's worth, I believe you. But you still brought her here, Jack said. Daniels had no answer for that. He left too. The silence that followed was crushing. Emily broke it. Why do they hate you? Jack didn't know how to answer that. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that some people would rather believe the worst than accept that maybe, just maybe, the world had more good in it than they wanted to admit? They don't hate us, sweetheart, Cole said. They're just scared. Of what? You're not scary. To them we are. We look different, act different, don't fit in their boxes. That's stupid. Yeah, Cole agreed. It really is. Jack's phone rang again. Marcus. Jack, we got a problem. Channel 7 just showed up at the clubhouse with cameras. They're asking about Emily, about whether the club approved your actions about the FBI investigation. What did you tell them? Nothing, but Razor talked. He's on camera right now saying you acted without authorization, that the club doesn't endorse getting involved with civilians, that you're trying to make us look soft. Jack closed his eyes. He said that on camera. Yeah, it's already airing. And Jack, it gets worse. Someone leaked the Nevada case details. They're connecting it all together, making it look like we're trying to clean up our image before the trial. This is a nightmare. Yeah, and it's just getting started. You need to get ahead of this. Tell your side. I'm not talking to reporters. Then someone else will tell it for you, and it won't be the truth. Marcus hung up. Jack looked at his brothers, at Sarah and Margaret, and Emily, at the mess he'd somehow dragged them all into. Maybe we should go, he said quietly, before this gets any worse. No, Emily's voice was small but absolute. You can't go. Emily, you didn't do anything wrong. Why should you leave? Because we're making things harder for your family. I don't care. Tears started rolling down her face. Everyone's being mean and lying and saying terrible things, and you're just gonna leave? Sarah pulled her daughter close. Jack, she's right. You can't let them win. This isn't about winning. This is about protecting you, all of you. From what? Margaret demanded. The truth. The truth is you saved my daughter. Everything else is noise. Noise that could destroy your lives, Cole said. We've got FBI sniffing around, media camping outside, internet mobs making accusations. You really want that attached to Emily? To your family? Margaret's hands were shaking, but her voice stayed firm. I want my granddaughter to see that doing the right thing matters, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Grandma. No, Emily. Listen, these men could walk away right now. It would be easier, safer. But if they do, what does that teach you? That being good only matters when it's convenient, that you should only help people if there's no cost. Emily wiped her eyes. No. Exactly. So we fight, we tell the truth, and we stand by the people who stood by us. Jack looked at this woman who barely knew them, willing to put her family through hell because it was the right thing to do. Felt something crack in his chest. You don't know what you're signing up for, he said. Don't I? I'm 63 years old. I've buried a husband and a son. I've raised a daughter through cancer and divorce and poverty. I know what fighting looks like, and I know what's worth fighting for. Tommy's phone buzzed. He checked it, went pale. Jack, you need to see this. Another video. This one showed Jack at a rally 3 years ago. Different chapter, different state. The video was edited to make it look like he was threatening someone when in reality he'd been breaking up a fight. But the editing was good, professional, malicious. Where did this come from? Jack asked. Posted by an anonymous account 20 minutes ago. Already got 500,000 views. Big Mike checked his phone. I got one too. Me at a bar. They made it look like I was starting a brawl, but I was stopping one. Cole's phone buzzed. Same, old footage edited to hell posted everywhere. This is coordinated, Jack said. Someone's coming after us specifically. Who? Sarah asked. Could be anyone. Feds trying to build a case, rival club, someone with a grudge. Hell, could just be internet trolls who found a new toy. What do we do? Emily asked, voice small and scared in a way it hadn't been even when her mother was unconscious. That hurt worse than anything. Hurt worse than the accusations, the edited videos, the FBI investigation. Because Emily had believed the world was simple, help people get help back, good wins. And now she was learning it wasn't. Jack knelt down in front of her. We tell the truth. We don't run. We don't hide. We stand up and we tell the truth. Will people believe us? Some will, some won't. But that's not on us. We can only control what we do, not what other people think about it. I don't want people thinking bad things about you. I know, kiddo, but sometimes that's the price of doing the right thing. Emily threw her arms around his neck. Jack held her, this little girl who turned his world upside down in the best and worst ways possible, and made a decision. All right, he said, pulling back. We're doing this. We're telling our story, all of it. How? Cole asked. I don't know yet, but we're not letting someone else control the narrative anymore. Sarah's phone rang. She answered, listened to her face going through about 6 different expressions in 10 seconds. That was the hospital, she said slowly. They want to do a press conference about the medical emergency, about what happened. They're asking if we'll participate. Do it, Margaret said immediately. Mom, do it. Get the doctors on record. Get the medical facts out there. Let's see the FBI call that staged. Jack looked at Cole. Cole nodded. We're in, Jack said. All of us. It's tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We'll be there. That night, none of them slept much. Jack and his brothers crashed at a nearby motel, fielding calls and messages, watching their lives dissected in real time across every social media platform. Tommy found a conspiracy theory thread with 2,000 comments, all discussing whether Emily was even real or a child actor. Big Mike discovered someone had posted their home addresses, phone numbers, license plates. We're going to need security, Mike said. Can't afford it, Jack replied. Club's broke from legal fees. Then we watch our own backs, like always. Cole sat by the window, staring out at nothing. I keep thinking about her face, Emily's, when that FBI agent was talking. Like something died inside her. She's 7, Tommy said. She'll bounce back. Will she? We just taught her that helping people gets you crucified, that doing good makes you a target. What kind of lesson is that? The real one, Jack said quietly. Better she learns it now from people who care about her than later from people who don't. That's bleak, man. Yeah, it is. Morning came too fast. They met Sarah and Margaret and Emily at the hospital entrance. A wall of reporters and cameras waited. You ready for this? Jack asked Sarah. No, but we're doing it anyway. They walked in together. The hospital had set up a conference room, doctors, administrators, all looking nervous. A lawyer briefed them quickly. Keep answers short, stick to facts, don't speculate, don't attack the FBI publicly. Just tell what happened. The press conference started. Dr. Martinez, the ER physician who treated Sarah, spoke first. Mrs. Carter arrived by ambulance at 4:47 p.m. on Tuesday, July 16th, presenting with severe hypoglycemia. Her blood glucose level was 32 milligrams per deciliter, critically low. Without immediate intervention, she would have experienced irreversible brain damage within minutes, followed by death. The room went silent. The intervention she received prior to our arrival, oral glucose administration, saved her life. Whoever provided that care demonstrated medical knowledge and appropriate judgment. This was not staged. This was not theater. This was a life or death emergency, and someone who knew what they were doing made the right call. Doctor, a reporter called out, can you confirm that the person who administered care was Cole Ryder, a member of the Hells Angels? I can confirm that Mr. Ryder's actions were medically sound and likely life-saving. But he's part of an organization under federal investigation. I don't care if he's part of the Boy Scouts, Dr. Martinez interrupted. He saved a woman's life. That's all that matters to me. Sarah stood up. I'd like to say something. The lawyer tried to stop her. She ignored him. My name is Sarah Carter. I'm a single mother. I work 2 jobs to support my daughter. On Tuesday, I forgot to eat lunch because I was too busy making sure Emily had everything she needed for her summer camp. I passed out while making dinner. When I woke up, there was a man I'd never met giving me juice and keeping me alive until the ambulance arrived. Her voice shook but didn't break. That man was Cole Ryder. His friend Jack Mercer came because my 7-year-old daughter asked him to. Not because it was convenient, not because there was something in it for him, but because a child needed help and he didn't turn away. Mrs. Carter, are you aware these men are being investigated? I don't care what they're being investigated for. I care that they showed up. I care that they stayed. I care that my daughter is not an orphan because they did the right thing when everyone else walked past. Emily stood up next to her mother. Margaret tried to stop her, but Emily shook her head. My name is Emily Carter, and Jack and Cole and Tommy and Big Mike are my friends. People are saying mean things about them, and it's not true and it's not fair, and I don't care what anyone says because they're good and they helped us, and that's all that matters. Her voice cracked on the last word, but she kept standing small and fierce and absolutely certain. The cameras went crazy. Questions shouted from every direction. Jack stood. The room quieted slightly. I don't have a prepared statement, he said. I'm not good with words. But I'll tell you this, Emily ran up to me crying saying her mom was in trouble. I followed her. That's it. That's the whole story. Everything else, that's other people's baggage, not mine. Mr. Mercer, do you deny being part of a criminal organization? I'm part of a motorcycle club. We ride, we support each other, we help our communities. If that makes us criminals, then I guess every VFW and Rotary Club in America is a criminal organization too. But the Hells Angels have a documented history. So does every organization that's existed for more than 5 minutes. Yeah, we've had bad members. So has the Catholic Church. So has Congress. Doesn't mean we're all bad. Cole stood next to him. I'm a registered nurse with 20 years of experience. I've saved more lives than I can count. But because I wear a leather vest, suddenly that doesn't matter. Suddenly I'm suspect. That's not justice. That's prejudice. Tommy and Big Mike stood too, flanking their brothers. We're not asking for medals, Big Mike said. We're not asking for anything. We just want people to see us for what we did, not what they think we are. The press conference dissolved into chaos. Questions, accusations, cameras flashing. Then a voice from the back. Mr. Mercer, Jack looked. A woman in her 60s crying. 20 years ago, your club helped me when my car broke down on a desert highway. You gave me water, fixed my tire, stayed with me until help came. I never forgot that. Never forgot that when everyone else drove past, you stopped. Another voice. My brother OD'd 5 years ago. Your members found him, administered Narcan, saved his life. He's 5 years sober now because of you. More voices, more stories. People Jack had never met, situations he'd forgotten, lives his club had touched in ways he hadn't realized mattered. The narrative was shifting, not completely, not everywhere, but enough. Agent Foster appeared at the back of the room. Jack caught her eye. She didn't look happy, but she looked less certain. The press conference ended. They filed out through a side exit, avoiding the main crush of reporters. Emily grabbed Jack's hand as they walked. Did we win? I don't know, kiddo, but we told the truth. That's something. Is the truth enough? Jack looked at this little girl who asked the hardest questions with the simplest words. Sometimes, he said, sometimes it has to be. They reached the parking lot. More cameras waited. But also, bikers, at least 30 of them lined up next to their motorcycles, arms crossed, standing guard. Marcus stepped forward. Figured you could use some backup. Jack's throat went tight. You didn't have to? Yeah, we did. You're our brother. Someone comes after you, they come after all of us. Even Razor was there, looking uncomfortable but present. I was wrong, Razor said gruffly. What I said on TV, I was wrong. You did us proud. The cameras caught all of it. The solidarity, the brotherhood, the family. Emily looked up at the wall of bikers and smiled. You have a lot of friends. Yeah, Jack said, voice rough. Yeah, I guess I do. The ride back to Sarah's house felt different. 30 motorcycles escorting one small sedan. People on the sidewalk stopped and stared. Some pulled out phones, others just watched, expressions ranging from fear to fascination to something that might have been respect. Emily pressed her face to the car window. Mom, look at them all. Sarah's hands gripped the steering wheel tight. I see them, baby. Are they all Jack's friends? I think so. Margaret sat in the passenger seat, quiet but watchful. This is bigger than we thought, isn't it? Yeah, Sarah said quietly. It is. When they pulled up to the house, the street was packed. Not just with the bikers who'd come as escort, but with news vans, neighbors, curious onlookers. Someone had set up a camera on a tripod across the street. Jack approached Sarah's window. You want us to clear out? Give you some space. Sarah looked at her house, small. Ordinary now, the center of a media circus. Looked at Emily, who was watching the bikers with wide eyes. Looked at the cameras pointed at them like weapons. No, she said. Come inside, all of you who want to. Ma'am, that's a lot of people. I don't care. You stood up for us. Least I can do is offer you a place to sit down. They filed in. Not all 30, that would have been Case and Wes, but Jack and his core brothers plus Marcus and a few others. Sarah's small living room filled with leather and denim and the kind of presence that made the space feel both crowded and protected. Someone knocked. Jack tensed, hand moving toward his phone. Margaret opened the door. Karen Miller stood there, the neighbor who'd apologized yesterday. She held a casserole dish. I know you probably don't want visitors, Karen said, but I thought with everything you might need food. And I wanted to say again how sorry I am for yesterday, for not helping. Sarah took the dish. Thank you. Can I say something to them? Karen looked past Sarah at the bikers. Come in. Karen stepped inside looking nervous. Found Jack. I called the police on you. Yesterday, when I saw you following Emily, I don't know what I thought, but I was wrong. And I'm sorry. Jack studied her face, saw genuine remorse there. You were trying to protect a kid. Can't fault you for that. I should have asked questions first. Should have. Karen's voice broke. I have a daughter Emily's age. If she was in trouble and someone helped, I'd want people to give them the benefit of the doubt. I didn't give you that. You're giving it now, Cole said. That counts. Karen nodded, wiped her eyes, left quickly. But she wasn't the last. Over the next hour, more neighbors came. Some brought food, others brought apologies. One elderly man brought a photo album, pictures from the 70s, him standing next to a motorcycle wearing a vest that looked a lot like the ones Jack and his brothers wore. Rode with the Angels for 10 years, the man said, voice rough with age. Best years of my life. We weren't criminals. We were brothers. Still are in my heart. Marcus shook the old man's hand. What's your name, brother? Jimmy. Jimmy Rodriguez. Riverside chapter, back when Reagan was still governor. Jimmy Rodriguez. Marcus's eyebrows shot up. Holy shit, you're a legend. We still tell stories about the run you organized to the Children's Hospital. Jimmy's weathered face broke into a grin. That was a long time ago. Good work doesn't get old. They talked for 20 minutes, old biker and young ones, swapping stories that made Emily laugh and Margaret smile, and Sarah realized that maybe, just maybe, she'd stumbled into something bigger than one medical emergency. Then Jack's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Mr. Mercer, this is Diane Chen from the Associated Press. I'm doing a feature story on what happened, and I'd like to get your perspective. I already did a press conference. I know, but I want to tell the full story. Not just the incident, but who you are, who your club really is. Give you a chance to set the record straight. Jack looked at Marcus, who nodded. When and where? They set it up for tomorrow. A proper interview on the record, no ambush questions. As soon as Jack hung up, Tommy's phone rang. Then Cole's. Then Big Mike's. Every major news outlet wanted the story. Some were hostile, others genuinely curious. A few clearly just wanted clickbait. We can't talk to all of them, Tommy said. We don't, Marcus decided. Pick 3, reputable ones. Tell the same story to all 3. Keep it consistent. Sarah brought out the casserole Karen had delivered, plus 3 more that had arrived since. They ate standing up, sitting on the floor, perched on furniture, not meant for this many people. Emily moved between the groups, fascinated. She asked Big Mike how he got so tall, asked Tommy why they called him Ghost, asked Razor why he looked so scary but talked so soft. Because people hear what they want to hear, Razor said. They see this, he pointed at his face, scarred and weathered, And they don't listen to this. He pointed at his heart. I listen, Emily said seriously. I know you do, kid. You're smarter than most adults. Margaret's phone rang. She answered, listened, her face going pale. That was Sarah's lawyer, she said quietly. Child Protective Services is opening a formal investigation. They're questioning whether Sarah's fit to care for Emily, given her medical condition, and she glanced at the bikers, her current associations. The room went silent. They can't do that, Sarah said, voice shaking. I had a medical emergency. That doesn't make me unfit. They're arguing that you put Emily at risk by not managing your diabetes properly, and that allowing her unsupervised contact with known gang members shows poor judgment. We're not a gang, Marcus said firmly. We're a motorcycle club. The state disagrees. They've classified you as an organized criminal enterprise. Jack felt sick. This was exactly what he'd feared. Not just his reputation on the line, but Sarah's, Emily's, everything. This is my fault, he said. I should have. Don't. Sarah cut him off. Don't you dare blame yourself. I'm the one who collapsed. I'm the one who didn't eat. And I'm the one who invited you into our lives because I'm grateful you saved me. Gratitude's not gonna help you keep your kid. Then what will? Nobody had an answer. Emily had been quiet listening. Now she spoke up. Are they going to take me away from my mom? The question hung there like a bomb. Margaret knelt down. No, sweetheart, we won't let that happen. But you said, I said they're investigating. Doesn't mean they'll find anything wrong because there isn't anything wrong. But what if they think there is? Margaret didn't have an answer for that either. The lawyer called back 20 minutes later. They're doing a home visit tomorrow. 9 a.m. inspector will assess the living conditions, interview Sarah and Emily, separately review medical records. Can we be there? Margaret asked. Family only. What about character witnesses? Not for the initial assessment. Sarah hung up, looked at the bikers filling her living room. You should probably go, before tomorrow. If they show up and find you here, we're not leaving, Jack said. Jack, all right. You stood up for us at that press conference. Put yourself on the line. Now it's our turn. This isn't a debt to repay. This is my daughter's future. Exactly, which is why we're not walking away. Cole stood. I'm a medical professional. I can testify to your condition, to the care you're receiving, to the fact that what happened was an isolated incident, not a pattern of neglect. I can provide character references, Marcus added, documentation showing our club's community service, charity work. We're not what they think we are. Old Jimmy Rodriguez spoke up from his corner. I'll testify too. I'm a retired social worker. Spent 30 years in the system. I know what they're looking for. And this ain't it. Sarah looked around at all these people, strangers a week ago now, rallying around her family like it was their own. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Don't say anything, Margaret told her. Just let people help. For once in your stubborn life, let people help. That night, after everyone left, Sarah sat with Emily in her room. Baby, tomorrow, some people are going to come and ask us questions about what happened, about our life, about everything. What kind of questions? Things like, do I take good care of you? Do you feel safe? Are you happy? Emily's brow furrowed. Of course you take care of me. You're my mom. I know, but they have to make sure it's their job. Because you got sick. Yeah, that's dumb. Getting sick doesn't make you a bad mom. Sarah pulled her daughter close. No, it doesn't. But sometimes rules are dumb. If they try to take me away, I'll run, Emily said fiercely. I'll run and find Jack and Cole, and they'll protect me. Sarah's heart broke a little. Emily, they can't protect you from this. Nobody can. It's complicated. Everything's complicated when you're a kid. Nobody tells you the truth because they think you can't handle it. But I can handle it, Mom, I can. Sarah looked at her 7-year-old daughter who'd run to bikers for help, who'd stood up at a press conference, who was somehow braver than Sarah had ever been. You're right, Sarah said. So here's the truth. There's a chance they might try to take you away from me, temporarily, until they're sure I can take care of you properly. Emily's face crumpled. No, but I'm going to fight. Grandma's going to fight. And all those people who came today, they're going to fight too. What if fighting isn't enough? Then we fight harder. Emily was quiet for a long moment. Mom, can I ask you something? Anything. If you had to choose between me being safe with someone else or me being with you, but maybe not as safe, what would you choose? The question gutted her. Baby, you'll always be safe with me. But what if I'm not? What if you get sick again and I'm alone and, hey, look at me. Sarah tilted Emily's chin up. What happened was scary for both of us, but we learned from it. I have a medical alert system now. Grandma's here. Our neighbors are watching out for us. And if something happens again, you know what to do. You proved that. I got lucky. Jack and Cole were there. What if next time they're not? Sarah didn't have a good answer because Emily was right. They'd gotten lucky. Incredibly, impossibly lucky. Then we make sure you're never in that position again, Sarah said. We set up systems, plans, backups. We make sure you're never alone and scared. Promise, promise, yeah. But Sarah knew promises were easy. Keeping them was harder. The next morning came too fast. The CPS inspector arrived exactly at 9. Middle-aged woman, stern expression, carrying a tablet, and wearing the kind of face that had seen too much and believed too little. Mrs. Carter, I'm Linda Hayes, Child Protective Services. I need to conduct an assessment of your home and family situation. Of course, come in. Emily sat on the couch, small and quiet. Margaret stood in the kitchen doorway, watching like a hawk. Hayes walked through the house, taking notes. Checked the fridge full of food now, thanks to the neighbors. Checked Emily's room clean, organized safe. Checked smoke detectors, locks medications. Mrs. Carter, when was your last doctor's appointment? 3 days ago, after the incident. And your blood sugar is currently under control. Yes, I'm monitoring it 6 times a day, following a strict meal schedule. My doctor says I'm doing everything right. But you weren't doing everything right when you collapsed, were you? Sarah's jaw tightened. I made a mistake. I forgot to eat. It won't happen again. How can you guarantee that? Because I learned my lesson. Because I'm scared. Because I never want my daughter to go through that again. Hayes made a note. Emily, can we talk privately? Emily looked at her mom. Sarah nodded. They went into Emily's room. The door closed. Sarah and Margaret sat in tense silence. What's she asking her? Sarah whispered. Standard questions, probably. How she feels, if she's scared, if she feels safe. What if Emily says the wrong thing? There is no wrong thing. Emily tells the truth. That's all she can do. 20 minutes crawled by, then 30. Sarah's hands wouldn't stop shaking. Finally, the door opened. Emily came out first, eyes red like she'd been crying. Then Hayes. Mrs. Carter, I need to be frank with you. This situation is complicated. On one hand, you clearly love your daughter and provide for her. On the other hand, you had a medical emergency that left her traumatized and put her in a position where she had to seek help from strangers. Those strangers saved my life. That's not the point. The point is, your daughter shouldn't have been in that position at all. I had a medical emergency. What was I supposed to do? Not have diabetes. You were supposed to manage it better. You were supposed to have backup plans. You were supposed to make sure your daughter was never in danger. She wasn't in danger from me. She was scared for me. That's different. Hayes's expression didn't soften. Is it because from where I'm standing, a 7-year-old child was left alone with her unconscious mother, forced to run into the street, seeking help from whoever would listen, and ended up with members of a motorcycle gang in her home? They're not a gang. The federal government disagrees, and regardless of what you call them, they're individuals with criminal records under active investigation who now have a relationship with your daughter. Margaret stepped forward. Those men saved Sarah's life. They protected Emily. They've shown more character than half the people in this neighborhood. That's your opinion, Mrs. Chen. My job is to assess risk, and right now I see multiple risk factors. Sarah felt her world tilting. What does that mean? It means I'm recommending ongoing supervision, monthly home visits, mandatory diabetes management classes, and Hayes paused. I'm recommending that Emily's contact with the motorcycle club members be limited and supervised. You can't do that. They're our friends. I can, and I am. This is for Emily's protection. Protection from what? From people who helped us. From people who are under federal investigation for organized crime. Mrs. Carter, I understand you are grateful, but gratitude doesn't supersede your daughter's safety. They are her safety. They're the ones who made sure she wasn't an orphan. Hayes closed her tablet. I'll be filing my report by end of day. You'll receive a formal notification of the supervision requirements within a week. If you fail to comply, we'll revisit the custody arrangement. She left. The door closed. Sarah collapsed onto the couch. Emily climbed into her lap. I told her you're the best mom in the world, Emily whispered, but she didn't believe me. It's okay, baby. It's not okay. Nothing's okay. Margaret's phone rang. She answered, listened to her face changing. That was the lawyer. The story broke. Someone leaked the CPS investigation to the media. It's everywhere. Sarah's phone started buzzing. Text messages, voicemails, notifications flooding in. She opened Twitter. The hashtag #SaveEmily was trending. People she'd never met were arguing about her fitness as a mother, about whether bikers should be allowed near children, about diabetes and disability and danger. Her whole life dissected by strangers. Emily saw her mom's face, grabbed the phone, threw it across the room. Stop looking at it. Stop letting them hurt you. Sarah pulled her daughter close and cried. That's when someone knocked. Not gentle, loud, insistent. Margaret opened the door. Jack stood there with Cole and Tommy. Behind them, a news van. We need to talk, Jack said. Now, them came in. Jack's face was set in hard lines. The FBI just served me with a subpoena, he said. They're bringing me in for questioning tomorrow. They're going after the whole club. Using this situation, using Emily as evidence of us infiltrating communities, building goodwill to cover criminal activity. That's insane, Margaret said. That's federal prosecutors looking for a case. They'll twist anything to fit their narrative. Cole sat down heavily. We got a choice to make. We can fight this publicly, drag it out, make it bigger. Or we can step back, cut ties, give Sarah and Emily space to deal with CPS without us complicating things. No, Emily said, voice small but absolute. You can't leave. Emily, we're making things worse for you. I don't care. You're my friends, and friends don't leave. Tommy crouched down to her level. Sometimes friends leave because it's the right thing to do, because staying would hurt more than going. You're wrong. Leaving it always hurts more. Jack looked at Sarah. What do you want us to do? Sarah looked at her daughter, at the men who'd saved her life, at the impossible choice in front of her. Keep them close and risk losing Emily to the system. Push them away and teach her daughter that gratitude meant nothing when things got hard. I don't know, she whispered. I honestly don't know. Margaret spoke up. Then we don't decide right now. We sit with it, we think, we talk to lawyers, to doctors, to people who know the system better than we do, and we make a choice based on facts, not fear. Fear is all I've got right now, Sarah said. Then we find you something stronger. Jack's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID, frowned. It's Agent Foster. He answered on speaker. Mr. Mercer, this is a courtesy call. We're holding a press conference in 1 hour. We'll be announcing formal charges against 3 members of your club related to the Nevada case. We'll also be addressing questions about your recent media presence and association with the Carter family. What are you going to say about us? The truth, that we're investigating whether your actions were genuine altruism or calculated PR. You know what the truth is. A kid needed help, and we helped. That's it. There's no conspiracy, no calculation. Just basic human decency. Your version of decency is under review, Mr. Mercer. I suggest you get a lawyer. She hung up. The room fell silent. Then Emily stood up, walked to Jack, took his hand. You're a good person, she said. I know you are, and I don't care what anyone says. You saved my mom, and you were nice to me, and that's all that matters. Jack looked down at this little girl who believed in him when the whole world seemed determined not to. Kid, I wish everyone saw things as clear as you do. Then they're dumb. Despite everything, Jack smiled. Yeah, maybe they are. Cole's phone buzzed. He read the message, went pale. Guys, we got a bigger problem. Someone just posted Sarah's medical records online. Full diagnosis, treatment, history, everything. What? Sarah grabbed the phone. There it was, her entire medical file posted to some forum, people commenting on her glucose levels, her medication, her private health information. That's illegal, Margaret said. HIPAA violation. Someone at the hospital. Or someone with access to hospital systems, Cole said. This is deliberate. Someone's trying to destroy her credibility before the CPS hearing. What hearing? Sarah asked. The one they're going to schedule to determine if Emily should be removed from your care. This Cole pointed at the leaked records. This is ammunition. They'll use it to show you're not managing your condition properly. Sarah felt the walls closing in. Every direction she turned, another threat, another attack, another way this could all fall apart. I can't do this, she whispered. I can't fight the FBI and CPS and the media and whoever leaked my records. I can't. Yes, you can, Jack said firmly. You're stronger than you think. I'm not. I'm tired and scared, and I just want my daughter to be safe and for this nightmare to end. Then we end it, Marcus said, appearing in the doorway. Nobody had heard him knock. We end it by telling the truth, all of it. No holding back. We tried that, Tommy said. Didn't work. Because we told it in pieces. Press conferences, interviews, sound bites. We need to tell the whole story. Start to finish. Put it somewhere they can't edit. It can't twist it, can't turn into something it's not. Like where? Cole asked. Marcus held up his phone. Like here, live stream. No reporters, no middlemen. Just us telling what happened. Let people decide for themselves. Jack looked skeptical. You really think that'll work? I think we're out of other options. We can let them control the story, or we can take it back. Your call. Sarah looked at Emily, at the men who turned her life upside down in the best and worst ways, at the choice that wasn't really a choice at all. Let's do it, she said. Let's tell them everything. They set up the camera in Sarah's living room. Nothing fancy, just a laptop propped on the coffee table, pointed at the couch where Sarah, Emily, and Margaret sat. Jack and his brothers stood behind them. Marcus counted down. 3, 2, 1, we're live. The viewer count started at 0, then 10, then 50. Within 2 minutes, over 1,000 people were watching. Sarah's hands shook. Emily grabbed one. Margaret grabbed the other. My name is Sarah Carter, she began, voice trembling but clear. A week ago, I collapsed in my kitchen while making dinner for my daughter. I'm diabetic. I forgot to eat lunch. My blood sugar crashed, and I passed out. If that had been the end of the story, I'd be dead right now, and my daughter would be an orphan. The viewer count hit 5,000. But it's not the end, because my 7-year-old daughter did something most adults wouldn't have the courage to do. She ran for help. She didn't know where she was going or who she'd find. She just knew her mom needed someone, and she wasn't going to let me die without trying everything she could. Emily's voice was small but steady. I saw them at the gas station. Everyone else looked away when I was crying, but they didn't. They listened. Jack stepped forward slightly. We didn't know Sarah, didn't know Emily, had no reason to get involved except that a scared kid asked us to, so we followed her home. Found her mom unconscious on the kitchen floor. My brother Cole, he's a nurse, he saved Sarah's life while we waited for the ambulance. 10,000 viewers now, comments streaming faster than anyone could read. Cole's voice was rough. That should have been the end of it. Good deed, everyone goes home, life moves on. But that's not what happened. What happened is the world decided that because we wear leather vests and ride motorcycles, we couldn't possibly be decent human beings. That there had to be an angle, a scheme, something corrupt. The FBI is investigating us, Marcus said. Child Protective Services is trying to take Emily away from her mother. Our medical records got leaked. We've been accused of staging the whole thing for publicity. And all because we did what anyone should do, we helped. 20,000 viewers. The number kept climbing. Sarah's voice got stronger. I'm being told I'm an unfit mother because I had a medical emergency, because I let these men into my home to thank them, because my daughter considers them friends. And I'm here to say that's wrong. Everything about this is wrong. Margaret leaned forward. I'm Sarah's mother. I flew in from Florida the day after this happened. I've spent the last week watching these men be vilified for doing the right thing. And I'm done being quiet about it. These men are heroes. Not because they're perfect, not because they don't have pasts, but because when it mattered, they showed up. The comments were split, half supportive, half hostile, but they were all engaged. Then Emily spoke and the tone shifted. People keep asking if I was scared of them, if they hurt me or said bad things or made me uncomfortable. And I keep telling them no, but nobody listens because they already decided what they think happened. They decided people who look different must be bad, and that's not fair. Tears rolled down her face, but her voice didn't break. Jack made me feel safe when I was the most scared I've ever been. Cole saved my mom. Tommy and Big Mike came back the next day just to make sure I was okay. They didn't have to do any of that, but they did. And now everyone's being mean to them and saying terrible things, and it's not true, and I wish people would just see the truth. 50,000 viewers. The comment section had gone quiet. Jack's phone rang. He glanced at it, Agent Foster. He rejected the call, kept his eyes on the camera. Here's what I want people to understand, Jack said. We're not asking for forgiveness for things we didn't do. We're not asking to be seen as perfect. We're asking to be seen as human. Yeah, we're bikers. Yeah, some of us have records. But we're also fathers and sons and brothers. We're veterans and nurses and mechanics and teachers. We're people who believe that when someone needs help, you help them. No questions, no conditions, you just help. The phone rang again. This time it was a number Jack didn't recognize. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. A woman's voice crying, "Mr. Mercer, my name is Patricia Wells. 23 years ago, your club stopped when my car broke down on I-40 in the middle of nowhere. I was pregnant, alone, scared. You gave me water, fixed, my tire stayed with me until my husband got there. I never forgot that. Never forgot your kindness, and I just want you to know I believe you. I believe in you, and I'm not the only one." Jack's throat went tight. "Thank you, ma'am." "No, thank you, for then and for now." She hung up. Jack looked at the camera. That was someone we helped decades ago. Someone who remembered. That's who we are. We're the people who stop. Another call came in on Cole's phone, then Tommy's, then Big Mike's. All different numbers, all different voices, all telling similar stories. "You fixed my bike when I couldn't afford a mechanic. You drove my grandmother to her chemo appointments when she had no one else. You raised money for my kid's surgery." The stories kept coming. Dozens of them. Hundreds. People flooding the live stream comments with their own experiences, their own moments when the Hells Angels had shown up and helped without asking for anything in return. The viewer count hit 100,000. Sarah watched the comments scroll by, tears streaming down her face. I had no idea you'd helped so many people." "We don't do it for recognition," Marcus said quietly. "We do it because it's right." Then a new comment appeared pinned to the top. Official, verified account. Linda Hayes, Child Protective Services. "I'm watching this live stream. I need to speak with Mrs. Carter immediately." Sarah's heart stopped. "Oh God, what did I do? What did we do?" Margaret grabbed her hand. "You told the truth, that's all." Sarah's phone rang. "Hayes, Mrs. Carter, are you still alive?" "Yes." "Keep the stream running. I'm coming over. I'll be there in 10 minutes. She hung up. The room erupted. "That's it," Tommy said. "We're done. They're coming to take Emily." "We don't know that," Cole argued. "What else could it be? We just broadcasted our entire situation to 100,000 people. And that might have been the smartest thing we could have done," Marcus said. "Hard to make someone disappear when the world's watching." Emily grabbed her mother. "I don't want to go. Mom, please don't let them take me." Sarah held her daughter so tight she could barely breathe. "I won't. I promise, I won't." But promises felt hollow when faced with the power of the state. The 10 minutes crawled by. The live stream stayed active. Viewers climbed to 150,000. People were sharing it everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, TikTok. The story was escaping anyone's ability to control it. A car pulled up. Hayes got out, but she wasn't alone. Dr. Martinez from the hospital was with her, and Karen Miller, and Jimmy Rodriguez, and at least a dozen other neighbors. They all walked to the door together. Margaret opened it. Hayes stepped in, first looked at the camera, looked at Sarah. "Mrs. Carter, I owe you an apology." The words hung in the air like a miracle. Sarah couldn't speak, couldn't process. Hayes continued. "I made my initial assessment based on protocol, on risk factors, on statistics. I didn't make it based on the truth. The truth is you had a medical emergency. Your daughter responded with incredible courage, and the people who helped you showed extraordinary character. None of that makes you unfit. It makes you human." "I don't understand," Sarah whispered. "After I left your house this morning, I did what I always do. I checked references, talked to neighbors, reviewed documentation. And what I found," Hayes' voice caught, What I found was a single mother working two jobs to provide for her daughter, a woman with a chronic illness who manages it as best she can, a child who's loved and cared for and incredibly brave, and a community that rallied around you when you needed it most. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. I reviewed your medical records, the real ones, not the illegally leaked version. Your diabetes management is textbook. The incident was a one-time lapse, not a pattern. Any endocrinologist would tell you the same thing. Karen Miller spoke up. We took a vote, the neighborhood, 37 families. Every single one voted to submit a letter supporting you. We were wrong to judge, we were wrong to fear, and we want to make it right. Jimmy Rodriguez handed Sarah a thick folder. Character references from everyone who's ever been helped by the Hells Angels. Took me 6 hours to compile these. There's over 200 letters in here. Sarah opened the folder with shaking hands. Letter after letter from people across the country, all telling stories of bikers who stopped to help, who showed up in emergencies, who proved that humanity mattered more than appearance. Hayes looked at the camera. I'm recommending that this case be closed with no further action. Emily Carter is exactly where she belongs with her mother, and anyone who says otherwise will have to answer to me. The live stream exploded. Comments flooded in so fast the screen couldn't keep up. The viewer count hit 200,000. Emily threw herself at Hayes, hugging the woman who'd terrified her just hours ago. Thank you so much. Hayes hugged her back, awkward but genuine. You're a brave girl, Emily. Don't ever let anyone tell you different. Sarah collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. Margaret held her. Jack and his brothers stood there looking shell-shocked. Then Hayes turned to them. Mr. Mercer, I can't speak to the FBI investigation. That's beyond my jurisdiction, but I can tell you this, what you did saved a life. And in my book, that counts for everything. Jack nodded, not trusting himself to speak. Hayes left with the neighbors. The live stream stayed active. Sarah looked at the camera at the 200,000 people watching. I don't know what to see, except thank you to everyone who shared their stories, everyone who stood up, everyone who chose to believe in the good instead of assuming the worst. You saved us. Emily wiped her eyes. And thank you to Jack and Cole and Tommy and Big Mike and Marcus and everyone who helped. You're my heroes. You'll always be my heroes. Cole had to turn away, shoulders shaking. Jack's phone rang again. This time he recognized the number. His lawyer. Jack, you seeing what I'm seeing? The live stream? No, the news. Agent Foster just held a press conference. The FBI is dropping the investigation into you specifically. They're still pursuing the Nevada case, but they've cleared you and your brothers of any wrongdoing in the Sarah Carter situation. They're calling it, and I quote, an act of civic heroism that exemplifies the best of community spirit. Jack nearly dropped the phone. What? Public pressure. 200,000 people watching you defend yourselves in real time. They couldn't maintain the narrative that you were criminals trying to infiltrate communities. Not with that much evidence to the contrary. So it's over. Your part is, yeah, it's over. Jack hung up, looked at his brothers. We're clear. FBI dropped it. The room erupted in cheers. Big Mike grabbed Cole in a bear hug. Tommy pumped his fist. Marcus clapped Jack on the shoulder so hard he almost fell over. Sarah stood up. Does this mean is it really over? Yeah, Jack said, voice rough with emotion. It's really over. Emily ran to him, wrapped her arms around his waist. You can stay. You can still be my friend. Jack knelt down, looked her in the eye. Kid, I'm gonna be your friend for as long as you'll have me. You're stuck with us now. Good, Emily said fiercely, because I'm not letting you go. The live stream viewer count hit 300,000. Comments were overwhelmingly positive now. People sharing the video, tagging news outlets, demanding the full story be told. Within an hour, major media had picked it up. By evening, it was the top trending topic on every platform. By the next morning, Sarah's story was front-page news, but not the way it had been before. This time, the headlines read, Little Girl's Courage Saves Mother and Changes Minds. Bikers prove humanity transcends labels. Community rallies around family after viral story exposes prejudice. The narrative had shifted. Finally. Completely. 3 days later, Sarah stood in her kitchen making dinner. Emily sat at the table doing homework. Margaret hummed while washing dishes. A knock at the door. Emily jumped up. I'll get it. She opened the door to find Jack, Cole, Tommy, and Big Mike standing there with grocery bags. We brought supplies, Jack said. Figured you could use a fully stocked kitchen. And Cole wanted to teach you some diabetic-friendly recipes. You don't have to. We want to, Cole said. Besides, Emily asked us to teach her how to cook so she can help you. Couldn't say no to that. They came in, filling the small house with noise and laughter and the smell of cooking food. They taught Emily how to measure ingredients, how to check labels, how to make meals that would keep her mother's blood sugar stable. Why are you doing all this? Sarah asked quietly as they worked. Jack looked at her. Because you're family now, and family takes care of each other. We barely know you. Doesn't matter, you trusted us when nobody else would. That makes you family. Over the following weeks, things settled into a new normal. Jack and his brothers visited regularly. They fixed things around Sarah's house that needed fixing. They took Emily to the park. They taught her about motorcycles and responsibility and courage. The neighborhood changed too. People who'd been hostile became friendly. Kids who'd been taught to fear bikers started asking questions instead. And slowly, carefully, bridges were built where walls had been. The FBI closed their investigation into the club's community involvement. The Nevada case proceeded separately, but it didn't touch Jack or his immediate brothers. CPS closed Sarah's file permanently. No more supervision, no more threats, just a notation that read, "Family is stable, supported, and thriving." 6 months later, Sarah stood in front of the crowd at the community center. The local news had asked her to speak about her experience, about what she'd learned. I used to think the world was simple, she said. Good people looked one way, bad people looked another. You could tell who to trust by how they dressed, how they talked, where they came from. I was wrong, so incredibly wrong. She looked at Jack and his brothers sitting in the front row. These men saved my life. But more than that, they taught me and my daughter that humanity isn't about appearances. It's about actions. It's about showing up when someone needs help. It's about doing the right thing even when it costs you everything. Emily stood next to her mother. I learned that being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing it anyway. It means asking for help when you need it. And it means standing up for people when everyone else is tearing them down. The crowd applauded. But the real victory wasn't the applause or the news coverage or the viral video that had been viewed over 10 million times. The real victory was quieter. It was Emily running to Jack for a hug after school. No fear, no hesitation, just pure joy at seeing her friend. It was Sarah's diabetes staying controlled because Cole checked in weekly, making sure she never forgot a meal again. It was the neighborhood kids asking Big Mike to teach them about motorcycles, their parents watching with smiles instead of suspicion. It was the slow, steady change in how people saw the world. Not in black and white, but in all the complicated, beautiful shades in between. 1 year after that day, at the gas station, they held a celebration. Sarah's house filled with people who'd been strangers and were now family. Bikers and neighbors and doctors and even Officer Daniels, who'd become a friend. Emily stood on a chair holding up a glass of apple juice like champagne. I want to make a toast, she announced. To Jack and Cole and Tommy and Big Mike, to Grandma and Dr. Martinez and everyone who helped us. But most, guys, Ali, she looked at her mom to my mom, because she taught me that being sick doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong. Because you have to fight every single day, and she's the strongest person I know. Sarah pulled her daughter down, held her close, tears streaming freely. Jack raised his glass. To family, the one you're born into and the one you choose. To family, everyone echoed. As the celebration continued around them, Emily pulled Jack aside. Can I ask you something? Anything, kid? Do you think things would have been different if I'd asked someone else for help that day, if I'd gone to someone who looked safer? Jack thought about it carefully. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe they would have helped. Maybe they wouldn't have. But here's what I do know. You didn't choose the safest option. You chose the option that felt right. You looked at us and saw something nobody else did, and that took more courage than any of us had. I just saw people who looked strong. You saw past what everyone else sees. That's a gift, Emily. Don't ever lose that. She hugged him tight. I won't. I promise. As the sun set on that small house in that quiet neighborhood, Something had fundamentally shifted, not just for Sarah and Emily and Jack and his brothers, but for everyone who'd witnessed their story. Because they'd learned what Emily had known all along, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help from the people the world tells you to fear. And sometimes, just sometimes, those people turn out to be exactly who you needed them to be. The little girl who ran to bikers for help didn't just save her mother's life that day. She saved something bigger. She saved the belief that people could be more than their labels, more than their appearances, more than the worst assumptions made about them. She proved that courage and kindness could exist anywhere, even in leather vests and tattoos, even in places people were taught not to look. And in doing so, she changed not just her own world, but the world of everyone who'd been watching. Because sometimes it takes a child's clarity to cut through the noise and show us what really matters, not who someone appears to be, but who they choose to be when it counts. That day at the gas station, Emily chose to ask for help. Jack and his brothers chose to give it. And that choice, that simple, profound choice to see the humanity in each other, made all the difference.